Good luck. How are you? Lovely True. Morning coffee used to be the same for quite a while. We had friends
my heart burden be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. Raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than I can be.
Our opening song, You Raise Me Up, is more than just a piece of music to John's family. It's a tribute to a man who was always there to support them, and through his love and encouragement, he raised them up to be their best. So a very fitting way to begin today's farewell. Before we begin, could I remind you, if you haven't already done so, if you could switch off your phones and pop them into silent for the service, that would be much appreciated. Well, good afternoon everyone, and welcome as we gather to celebrate John's life, and a very warm welcome to those who join us via live stream, in particular John's daughter Heidi and his grandson Connor, who are in the UK. We do hope you feel a special part of today's farewell. Today is certainly a special day of remembrance to celebrate the life of a beloved family man and a good friend, and your support at this sad time really does mean the world to John's family. With the spirit of love and friendship that each of you bring today, this afternoon's service is going to be made even more special as we honour John's life and we share memories of a life well lived. My name is Gina Braithey, and having officiated Margaret's service just over 2 years ago, it is again an honour to help the Ford family navigate today's service for John. It is my hope that this time we spend together will be a meaningful tribute and reflect on the many things that made him so loved and so respected. We are gathered here today in this beautiful chapel to pay our respects to a man who has left an indelible mark on all of your lives, John Ford. Memories are going to be shared of a husband, father and grandfather who had an incredible lust for life and an unwavering desire to make a difference. John embraced every moment with passion and purpose, and he lived life to its fullest, leaving no stone unturned. John's boundless energy, his generous spirit and his enduring love touched everyone who knew him, and his family will be forever grateful for the legacy he has left behind, a legacy of love, resilience and inspiration. While John's sudden passing brings sadness, we must also remember the extraordinary life he lived. 83 years full of achievement, adventure and love. John experienced so much, and he was admired by so many, and today we will show him the love and respect that he so richly deserves. As we begin, it's important to acknowledge those who are most special in John's life. He was the devoted and loving husband of Margaret, who is deceased, the loving father of Dulcie and Heidi, respected father-in-law of David, and loved grandfather of Reese and his partner Amy and Connor. Along with John's extended family in the UK and his many friends here today, you were all an important part of his life, and I'm sure if he could, he would thank you all for the love and the friendships that have been shared. As you take this time to remember John in your own special way, may it also be a warm reminder of how much he has meant to many. Our opening poem I'd like to share is by English poet David Harkins. It's titled He Is Gone, and it was shared at Margaret's funeral, titled She Is Gone back then. They are fitting words to share again today. You can shed tears that he is gone, or you can smile because he has lived. You can close your eyes and pray that he'll come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that he's left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see him, or you can be full of the love that you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember him only that he is gone, or you can cherish his memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind, be empty and turn your back, or you can do what he would want, smile, open your eyes, love, and go on. When we lose someone we love, we come together for many reasons, most importantly, to surround the family with love and support. It's also a time to share cherished memories and reflect on the life of a remarkable man. The following is just a little about John and his life, and with the help of his own memories and that of his family's. Born on the 10th of August 1941 in Newcastle under Lyme, Staffordshire in England, to parents Nora and Frank Ford, John had three brothers, Barry, Philip and Eric, and a sister Maureen. Only Maureen and Eric are still with us. John began his notes by remarking that his full name, John Ford, has only 8 letters, although he recalls he did almost get the middle name, that will do. At his christening, apparently the vicar said in his sermon, "I christen this baby," and the vicar looked up to his mother waiting for a middle name. Being impatient and wanting to get back to home to the bomb shelter, his mum, under her breath, said, "That'll do," which the vicar almost repeated. John is the only one of his siblings without a middle name. Growing up in the UK during the war years was challenging. Food and clothing were rationed and in short supply, and bombing caused fear. John started school during the war years, and he left at the age of 15 to complete an apprenticeship with a heating and plumbing company. This gave him a good understanding of mechanical services for working on power stations, gas and chemical plants, control systems on coal mines and mechanical installations in factories, skills that set him up for life. When John was around 25 and working in a local factory installing a central heating system, he received a call from his company's office. Imagine his surprise when a beautiful young 17-year-old came looking for him to take the call. This young lady was Margaret Williams. They started dating and they were married 18 months later on the 25th of March 1967. With a 7-year age difference, John used to tell people that Margaret was his child bride and she married him for his money. However, Margaret would set him straight by saying that before she married John, he had a rusty old car with a bald tyre and 10 bob in his pocket. Married life began living in Stoke-on-Trent in Staffordshire. Dulcie was born in May 1968 and Heidi in November 1973. As many of you here would know, everyone here would know, John was an astute and a very clever man, and an opportunity came along to start his own heating and plumbing business, which became very successful, employing 43 people. By this stage, Margaret had launched herself onto the singing market, doing clubs and dance venues. Together, they travelled across the county for about 10 years at weekends with Margaret, sometimes being solo acts or with other singers, and sometimes as support to dance bands. After a busy 10 years running their own business, driving hundreds of miles at weekends, and with 2 children, Margaret decided to take a break and stay at home. Soon bored, she decided to take up writing, and over the years she has published 7 books. Not enough to keep her occupied, she then joined John running the heating and plumbing company. While doing business at schools and at hospitals, John was asked many times for spare radiator valve replacement covers. This bugged him for a while, so over a period of 12 months he worked out how to solve the problem. He patented his invention and formed a new company, Holdfast Radiator Valves. Margaret became director and company secretary, handling the accounts, payroll and personnel. She was sales and marketing, and she often found herself in the packing area. John and Margaret really did make a great team, and they ran a successful business for close to 20 years. During this time, and with John's support and encouragement, Margaret found time to pursue another passion, writing novels. Over the course of around 15 years, she completed 6 crime and mystery novels and a book of short stories. John used to proofread Margaret's new books. He'd make suggestions and point out spelling errors, and she'd say, "Okay, clever sod," whenever he found a mistake. Dulcie and David moved to Australia in late 2005, and this presented John and Margaret with an opportunity to rekindle an old dream of emigrating here to Australia. Approved visas for Australia came in 2009. They Googled areas near water, and they decided on Newlands Arm. They purchased a property in Newlands Arm in July of the same year, and John travelled back on his own later in 2009 to supervise the renovations of their new house. He was lucky enough to secure the original builder, although he took supervising to a new level, quickly earning the nickname Tailgate. During this renovation stage, their new neighbours in Newlands Arm quickly became firm friends that were always there for both John and Margaret. So then in 2010, they finally made the move here from the UK and began their new Australian adventure. Newlands Arm quickly became their happy place. John and Margaret made many close friendships, and they got to know some really amazing people. John joined the Bairnsdale Golf Club, again making more new friends, and he got himself a boat, having a new ambition to explore every inch of the Gippsland Lakes. John also tried his hand at fishing, although the fish often outsmarted him. In 2014, John and Margaret became Australian citizens, and they both agreed moving to Australia was the best decision they ever made. Dulcie and David would visit often from Melbourne, and with John and Margaret they enjoyed trips on the lake and some special and happy times together while living in Newlands Arm. After around 9 years, the decision was made to move into Bairnsdale, and they built a beautiful new home in Pearson Street. It ticked all the boxes for both of them, and they created a warm and inviting home with the many trinkets that they purchased from their travels, mainly from Europe. John then spent his days playing golf, boating and fishing, and he was happy. In late 2022, John's grandson Reese and his partner Amy came and spent a month with John and Margaret's. They got to explore East Gippsland and enjoyed spending some quality time together. After so many years of travel restrictions, having Reese and Amy visit made John and Margaret so happy. Well, after an illness, Margaret passed away in February 2023. John lost his best friend and soulmate, and he recalled it was the saddest day of his life. After 55 years of happy marriage, they enjoyed an amazing life together, side by side through all of life's adventures. And while John agreed they both had strong wills, they learned to compromise, and he was so proud of the life that they had created with their 2 daughters and their businesses together. After some time to grieve, John decided that life was for living, and he threw himself into Probus, golf and croquet. He made the most of every hour of every day. He never sat still, and he was always doing or planning something. Reese and Amy also came to stay as John was helping them make a new life here in Australia. It was both Margaret and John's dream for them to succeed. Not even a cancer scare last year could keep John down. He vowed to beat it, which he did, and he was looking ahead, keeping positive and keeping his family on their toes. David joked that they were always a few steps behind John. He was hard to keep up with. Last year, he went to Queensland with Dulcie and David to celebrate his all clear from cancer. They also went to Bendigo just before Christmas and Echuca just a few weeks ago. He loved to be busy. John had made plans to travel back to the UK in a few weeks' time to see Heidi and Connor and his brother and sister. He had even just purchased a motorhome that he was due to pick up in June and planned to explore Australia. Sadly, on Wednesday the 16th of April, John passed away suddenly and unexpectedly, with Dulcie and David by his side. His death came as a shock, and it still is to all who knew and loved him, as his vibrant presence and generous spirit seemed impossible to lose. In saying that, we know that John wouldn't want today to be morbid or sad, and I know that his family want today to be a real celebration of his life. On that note, we are now going to hear from some very special people to continue sharing these memories and stories. That's just a very quick snapshot of John's life, and there's lots more to share. So I have got a tribute that I'd like to share on behalf of Heidi, who is joining us from the UK, and then after that, Dulcie and David are going to come forward. So this is on behalf of Heidi. My dad, John Ford, was an amazing man who could brighten the darkest day with a joke or a smile. He was a master of humour and dad jokes and had a special way of turning any situation into a comedy. I remember his classic, "There was a fairy whose name was Nuff, fair enough." I think he told that one hundreds of times, and each time he'd still titter like it was the first. When Doctor Who came on TV, he would always sing the theme, so out of tune, to wind us all up. Dad had a gift. He could find humour in the mundane, making the simplest moments unforgettable. But beyond the jokes, Dad was a beacon of positivity and strength. No matter what life threw our way, he would always say, "There's always a positive to a negative," and proceed to tell an amusing but wise story. Dad was also a man of many sayings, like, "I will cross that bridge when I come to it, and where there's a will, there's a way." Well, my dad lived that motto every day. His unwavering optimism inspired me to look for the good, even in trying times. He was also a man of adventure and gave us lots of wonderful memories and experiences. Our weekends and holidays were filled with bike rides, beaches, caravanning trips and sailing on the open sea. I still recall the thrill of steering a motor glider aeroplane over Alton. His energy and enthusiasm was limitless, and he made sure to share it with us, whether it was helping us or just being there to listen. He was always present. Dad taught us the importance of family, love and generosity through his actions towards us and to everyone who knew him. He was a devoted husband, an incredible father, and the best granddad my boys could ask for. He was also successful in business and an inventor, a master of improvisation, as he would say. Having later immigrated to Australia, his hard work paid off and his resilience and determination were truly inspiring. In Australia, I know Dad lived life to its fullest and thoroughly enjoyed his well-deserved retirement with Mum and his new friends, and of course the sunshine, the sea and boating. My dad was also the cleverest man I know, and his wide range of knowledge always astounded me. Our interesting and funny conversations were always a highlight to look forward to. As we remember him today, I try not to focus on the sadness of loss and huge void he has left, but rather the legacy he leaves behind of laughter, kindness and undying love, his adventurous spirit, his unwavering positivity and of course his legendary jokes. Dad, you taught us all to look on the bright side of life, to find the joy in life, and today we honour you by celebrating you. I love you, I will always miss you, and I'll carry your love and laughter in my heart forever. Now I'd like to ask Dulcie and David to come forward to share with us what they have to say about their father and father-in-law. Thank you.
My dad. What can I tell you about my dad? He was always the rock of the family, supporting everyone. His goal was for us all to succeed. He never pushed us to do anything we didn't want to, only ever supported us. He would do all in his power to help. He was an unwavering source of strength for all of us. He never stopped supporting me. In fact, he was my greatest supporter. He was always there, taking us to the park as children. He was the fun dad, telling the daggy jokes and wild stories which we lapped up. He was always the dad that dropped off or picked up me and my friends from the local club or a night out. When I was studying, I used to catch the train every day to a college that was about 70 kilometres away. He would drop me off at the train station early at 6:30 in the morning, and he would pick me up again after 7 p.m. He never complained. He was a man of integrity and perseverance, both qualities that he has instilled in me. He never stopped being an engineer. Problems were merely a puzzle to solve. How often I heard the words, "I won't be beaten." I was so proud of my dad after my mum passed. Despite missing my mum terribly, he recognised that the only direction is forward. You can't look back. He continued with his golf and also joined the local Probus and croquet clubs. He loved to be busy. He kept the house and garden spotless, nothing out of place. My mum and dad made some amazing friends here in Bairnsdale, all of whom have been incredibly supportive to both my parents when they first moved here, to being there for my dad when my mum passed, and now supporting us through this difficult time. You made both my parents' years in Australia a very happy one. Thank you. In recent times, we would normally speak about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. He would tell me what he'd done in the day and what he planned to do in the next day or two. He loved a to-do list. He would always make sure at the end of each call to tell David and I that he loved us. I honestly thought he would live forever. To me, he was the original Duracell bunny. Nothing was ever going to stop him. His arms and embrace were always a safe place, no matter how old I got. Most of all, I will miss his killer sense of humour and his stories. He would often say, if you couldn't laugh at life, then life wasn't worth living. A dear friend of the family said to David and I this week that my dad was planning a life, not waiting to die. We reflected quite a bit on that statement, and we felt that it summed up my dad in a nutshell, planning a life and not waiting to die. It got us wondering how many people aged 83 can say that. I can't imagine life without him. I don't want to. Whilst there will be a massive void going forward, he seems to have touched so many lives. I do know that he will never be forgotten. He will always be loved, and he will always be my dad. I love you, Dad. I will always love you. Rest in peace, and say hello to Mum for us.
On behalf of the entire family, I want to thank you for coming out today, paying your respects, and hopefully later sharing your stories, your laughs and memories of the good times you had with John. As John's son-in-law, I am honoured to be given the opportunity to speak at his services today on behalf of Dulcie and also the rest of the family, and I hope I do him proud. I have known John since I first met Dulcie back in 1992. John was a busy man running a demanding business, maintaining the ongoing development of his farmhouse property, as well as looking after all his family's needs. We were married in 1996, and John even supervised the hosting of our wedding at their home with a huge marquee erected on their lawn. Most Thursdays, Dulcie and I would meet up after work to have dinner with the mum and dad. Thursday evening was typically shopping night for them, so they would bring back a hot roasted chicken salad as well as a selection of fresh cream cakes, which we ate while we chatted about the previous week's news and events. The dinner would inevitably always end up with John winding Margaret up when recalling a story from their past that he would love to exaggerate and embellish. And that was John in a nutshell. He loved telling his stories about growing up, his childhood and the early years with Margaret setting up their business, that he would never let any irrelevant facts or bending of the truth get in the way of making this as entertaining as possible, much to Margaret's annoyance. So the following stories I'm about to tell, as retold by John on numerous occasions, are all true. Maybe. Probably. John certainly had a tough childhood, being the middle of 5 siblings and a single mother to bring them all up through the Second World War. John's mother was a matron at the local hospital, so was hard-working, disciplined, no-nonsense type of woman. John would recount how the family struggled to make ends meet both during, straight and after the war, and did whatever they could to survive. His mother would even bring unwanted clothes home from the hospital if anyone had passed away to distribute throughout the family. One of his worst memories was when his mum brought home a large frilly white shirt that you would typically see worn by a concert pianist, imagine Liberace or Lord Fauntleroy or something like that, and made him go to school in it. The shirt was at least 2 sizes too big, but money was tight, so John had to be grateful and did what his mother asked. Needless to say, he was teased mercifully at school and was still traumatised by this many years later, but he did eventually learn to laugh about it. There were also other reoccurring stories of dead man's shoes that his mum brought home that proved to be cursed, and also his mum hand-stitching their pet's dog's ear back on at home after it got into a fight with another dog and they couldn't afford the vet fees. These stories were always retold with a twinkle in his eye as people laughed. John quickly learned to live on his wits, and while he suffered from a stutter into his early teens and with severe word blindness, way before it was recognised as a condition called dyslexia, he did not let this stop him from doing what he wanted to do. In his early years, John struggled at school. He said that at one time he was even asked by his teacher not to attend class for that day as there was an important spelling test and that his score would bring the class average down. However, over the years he learned to harness this infliction to his advantage. His mum helped him by reading books to him and pointing out words which he started to remember like a photograph. He continued to do this for the rest of his life, logging the picture of the word whenever he saw a word that he had never seen before. Although I can only imagine that moving to Australia certainly provided a new challenge with the number of unusual looking words here. Over the years, Margaret, Dulcie and I were constantly correcting him on his pronunciation of his words, but once he had made up his mind of how the structure of the word sounded in his head, there was no changing him. It was quite amazing how he used this disability to his advantage and excelled in all the things that he did. John's early work career took him all over the country, where he would often stay in boarding houses or bed and breakfast with other colleagues. Working away from home and on big projects provided John with lots of funny stories, as he and his colleagues would often play tricks on one another. Many of these you certainly wouldn't get away with in today's world of occupational health and safety. There was one particular job where they were renovating an industrial building of some kind, and behind this building there was a busy train line. In between the building and the train line was the location of the portable on-site work dunny. On one occasion he was inside this makeshift library reading the morning newspaper as some of his colleagues thought it would be a good idea to lift the outer walls of the toilet walls with a small on-site crane, just as the 10:23 Liverpool-London train was making its way slowly past the building site. John recalls the passengers on the train staring out the window while he was left sitting there, newspaper in hand, trousers round his ankles, with his colleagues doubled up in stitches. As the years went on, both John and Margaret were always very close in our lives and took a keen interest in how we were both getting on with our careers. Dulcie and I were very fortunate that both sets of parents got on exceptionally well, and all 6 of us would dine out together very often. I do recall one story that is still mentioned many years later, purely for the amusement that this caused. I had been given a new board game at Christmas called Humbug, which I was keen to play. So it was decided after Christmas dinner that all of us would play this game. The premise of the game was that you split into teams and had to hum popular tunes that were named on the cards to your allocated team partner. Well, at this point it was mentioned that John was tone deaf, but what we didn't realise was that he couldn't hum either. He just couldn't do it. So something simple as 3 blind mice came out like someone that had been force-fed and then gagged, On his turn, John was thrashing his head, turning red, grimacing in his face, just like a small baby who's got trapped wind, as he fought to let out a distressed humming sound with no actual likeness of the tune he was supposed to be humming. Well, in the end, the game had to be abandoned as we all fell about laughing, as we never imagined that anybody would struggle to hum so badly. I think one of the most significant moments for me personally was when we were still based in the UK and I asked John for some advice about my work. I was currently working at a local accountant's office as an external auditor, and on my latest assignment I inadvertently discovered a fraud that had taken place involving the current accountant at the business who just so happened that day called in sick from work. The proprietor of the manufacturing business was naturally very grateful that I had discovered this fraud and offered me the accountant's job. The wage offered was a huge step up for me, but the job security and general business ethics were less so. I was in a huge quandary in what to do, and more importantly, what if all this failed? Should I stick with the secure, safer option of my present role in a familiar environment, or should I gamble on this new, unsecured but very lucrative job offer? The advice John said to me was, imagine in 12 months when the annual company audit comes around again and you turn up and see someone else sitting in the chair that you could be sitting in, taking the increased money that you could be on. How would you feel? Would you feel okay with that decision? Golden opportunities come around very rarely, and you need to trust in your instinct. What is this telling you? And with that, I decided to take the job, which ultimately came to set Dulcie and I up at a very critical moment in our life, several years before we came out to make our new life in Australia. When John and Margaret came out to live in Australia after John's retirement, it was always envisaged that they would live locally and just be down the road from us somewhere on the Mornington Peninsula. When they couldn't find their dream home locally, they ended up looking further afield until they found their ideal home in Newlands On. This was one of the best things that ever happened to them, as they created some amazing new friends. And while it wasn't on the doorstep for us, it did provide the opportunity for regular escapes and mini breaks where we could get away from the Melbourne metro stresses and enjoy the quiet serenity of this idyllic location. During our regular visits, John always took me under his wing and would take me out to play golf or to go out on the boat fishing. I only ever really enjoyed playing golf when I came over to Bairnsdale, as it was such a beautiful course. John would always book a game for the two of us and set a tee-off time that was a quiet part of the day so we could take our time and enjoy the day out without any timing pressures. He would offer advice if I was not playing well, but then again add some additional pressure if I was playing too well. I rarely beat him, but then he did always keep the score. John often took me fishing, and although we rarely caught anything, I thoroughly enjoyed my days out, and I never wanted the day to end. I especially enjoyed our trips to 90 Mile Beach, which was only accessible by boat, and then a trek over a huge sand dune where the golden white sands and crashing waves were waiting for us on a backdrop of a clear blue sunny sky. Many times we had the entire beach to ourselves, and we would do some sea fishing from the shore. John always made some sandwiches for lunch and packed a flask of tea, and we would spend the day in this idyllic location putting the world to right with all the cares of the world floating away. It was such a magical time for me, and the one that I thoroughly enjoyed and will remember forever. John used to comment that no one explored the different areas of the lakes as much as he did. He would regularly set off and explore different inlets and channels as was the natural adventurer and explorer in him. On one occasion, he was eager for us to get out of the boat as he brought an underwater camera to drag along the bed of the lake and was determined to find old wrecks of ships, wartime aircraft that he had read somewhere that had crashed into the lakes, artifacts, and knowing John, probably chests of gold treasure left discarded by pirates. Unfortunately, after trawling the lakes for many hours at a time, this reward did not eventuate, but it certainly wasn't for the one trying. John also used to say that he was a master of improvisation. He didn't like to be beaten and would often find a solution to repair anything that broke around the house. Over the years, he's helped Dulcie and I with numerous jobs around our house, and his solutions were often ingenious. Only a few weeks ago, he turned up with a small winch and decided to set up our paddle boat so that we didn't have to struggle and maul it out of our backyard lake each time we wanted to bring it out of the water. When I got home from work on that day, John was eager to demonstrate the finished job, as it was all completed and very cleverly constructed. Often many of the jobs that he helped us with, he would proudly joke about the length of warranty he was willing to offer us. If he fixed a cupboard door with new screws, he would say that would be good for a 12-month warranty, but other jobs he would only offer 3 months if he thought it was a temporary fix. We always joked we wanted a lifetime guarantee on his dad repairs, but this was never offered. In the COVID era, John invented a water heating system that could be bolted onto any existing system to deliver hot water to the tap without having to wait for the cold water to come through. He patented this idea, and we set about trying to obtain a partner to commercialise the invention. He tried to explain the engineering concept of this invention many times to me, but I just didn't possess the level of engineering technical knowledge about water pressures and solenoid valves to take it over on my own, and yet it was all so natural and obvious to him. We've already mentioned the success he had with his universal replacement radiator valve invention, but his brain was continually wired looking for the next opportunity. On one visit to Newlands Army, he devised an automated golf swing device on a pulley with some springs to see if he could recreate the perfect golf swing. On another recent visit earlier this year, I saw a new contraption in his Bairnsdale garage, and when asked what it was, he demonstrated to show us that he had made it to practice and perfect his croquet swing. It was simple but ingenious, as most of his solutions to everyday problems often were. He was always looking, analysing and thinking with his engineer's head on how to make things better and easier for us all. As well as being extremely clever and very humorous in nature, John could also often be quite philosophical too. In fact, one of John's most famous sayings and beliefs, which I'm sure many of you have heard here, is when he says that often the best bit of bad luck we have ends up being the best bit of good luck that we receive. He was a firm believer in this theory and would say it to anyone that was down on their luck. This was recently highlighted 12 months ago when John was in hospital receiving treatment for his cancer scare. In the bed next to him was a young lad around late 20s who was going through intense treatment for an aggressive cancer tumour. The lad was very quiet, so John offered him a finger of his Kit Kat to strike up a conversation. The lad just shook his head as he was feeling very down and very despondent. John asked him his name and what his particular cancer issue was. The lad quietly told him, to which John confidently replied that this was probably the best bit of bad news he could have. The lad was bemused and asked how this could be. John explained that sometimes in life we are dealt such a significant blow that we think our world has ended. If we think back over time, our worlds did not end. Perhaps it was just a new direction that we were forced to take, and everything turned out okay or better than before. John went on to explain, saying, I bet you've had a relationship in the past that you believed was your whole world, but when it ended you were devastated, questioning how you could carry on. But eventually you find a new partner and you'll learn that life is now so much better than before. The lad thought about this for a few moments and said, you're right, I had a girlfriend many years ago who I thought I would marry, but at times she was so controlling that she caused many arguments between me and my lifelong friends. When we broke up, I was devastated and thought my world had ended. But now I've been with a new girl for the past 2 years and she's so much better for me as we have so many things in common and we love each other very much. John says, well, think about your current predicament. Yes, you have cancer and the treatment is horrible, but it has been diagnosed early in your life. You are young and strong. You are receiving excellent treatment from one of the best hospitals in Australia. And years from now, when you're fully recovered and you're with your family, maybe playing with your future children, you will look back on this time and think, this was probably the best bit of bad luck you had, because from this moment onwards, the only direction for you is forwards. After John had finished, the lad didn't reply and just went very quiet, so John let him be. After about 5 minutes had passed, he turned to John and said quizzically, have you been sent by God to have a talk with me? To which John replied laughing, I'm not very religious, so I don't really think so. But from your perspective, you could say I'm your hospital bed neighbour and I'm the pain in your backside type of look. I think if any of us really recall some of the devastating moments in our lives and what happened since that time, we can often find that looking back, it was probably the best bit of bad luck that happened to us at that time. So that was John. Funny, amusing, creative, clever, confident, balanced, and when he needed to be, philosophical too. I will sincerely miss John as he became such a huge part in our lives. Thank you, John, for all that you did for Dulcie and I. We will miss your upbeat persona and dependability of being there for us. You will remain forever in our hearts to the end of time. Rest in peace. Thank you.
Well done. It deserves a round of applause.
Hello everyone. I think some of you I've had the pleasure of meeting, and I'm sure I'll meet the rest of you today. I'm Rhys. I'm John's eldest grandson, and I'm just going to share a little bit about my granddad that I remember fondly. And this is all based on a talk that I had with Dulcie on the phone just last week. A pebble dropped into the water makes ripples. I think what's clear today is that if my granddad was that pebble, he made not just ripples, but waves. Corny granddad jokes always made me laugh, and now I try to have a fun sense of humour and make others laugh too. An hour riding a bike together every other week, round and round the house, built my confidence, and it made me enjoy being active. Now I try to stay fit and healthy. Practicing swimming, diving underwater, and helping me to see how long I could stay submerged with a bucket over my head in the swimming pool, it's very safe, led to a fascination and a hopeful career in the ocean and a love for the underwater world. He bought me my first driving lessons, and that led to independence on the roads that I know the locals probably have some impatience for, and opportunities to work and travel further afield. This is a journey that I know my brother Connor is now also well on his way to completing, all thanks to my granddad's help. Together, Connor and I used to make silly home videos and skits, all encouraged by my granddad's Monty Python sense of humour and a simple video camera that he gave us with one instruction: bring me something to make me laugh. As brothers and as grandsons, we will always be so proud and thankful for what he did for us. For myself and my partner Amy, he would move mountains if he could, just to see us feel welcome and settled in Australia. He made it clear how much he cared for Amy, loved her as part of the family, and made her feel welcome here as well, so far away from the Welsh hills that she calls home. Together, the three of us cooked some magic and some mayhem in the kitchen, watched so many of each other's favourite movies and shows that we began to run dry on options, and we explored the lakes together on the boat, and generally I think we menaced the locals of Bairnsdale. But it's not just family that my granddad looked out for. Always a problem solver, he set an industry standard and made a successful business from the idea of making a job simple, efficient, and protecting children from accidents because of poor plumbing design. He gave people opportunities, helped others too, and he would love to say this to us, get their foot on the ladder. He fit into communities, clubs, neighbourhoods, and parties in the UK and here in Australia. There are friends in both places he called home, who I know loved him and will miss him dearly. In so many ways, on both sides of the world, John Forward is a name that many people will always remember fondly. So as my final thought, I think we should all be proud of the lessons we can learn from my granddaddy. Be kind, help others, go out of your way to make a positive change. Make not just ripples, but waves. Thank you.
Thanks, Rhys. That was a beautiful tribute to your granddad. Now, Judy from the Croquet Club has got something she'd like to share with us today. Thanks, Judy. Short side.
Lovely to see you all, and I'd like to really thank Dulcie and the family for letting me say a few words. It's really appreciated. My name is Judy Hodder, and I'm president of the Bairnsdale Croquet Club. I don't know how much you all know about croquet. It's defined as a game where you use mallets, which are a bit like a long wooden hammer, where you have to try and hit the ball through small metal hoops which are fixed into the grass. People say it must be easy. Well, it's not that easy. So it's a really tough, strategic game with lots of fun, and suitable for all people of all levels of ability. And I've got some of our other members up the back here today as well, so I'm glad that they've come along. Well, John, he officially joined our Croquet Club in April 2023. And I spoke to one of our members, Ethel, who said John walked in the gate and was thrilled to see her because John knew Ethel through Margaret and Probert, so he felt comfortable from the moment he actually walked in the gate because he actually knew people that was there. John was very personable, so he got very comfortable very quickly, and his wit and his humour kept us all on our toes. He was very well known for that. He also worked very hard at perfecting his game very, very quickly, and he came a long way in a very short time. Now, I've only just really heard in this last week or so about this swing machine in the garage, which I'm going to have a look at and see if it'll help us. I really want to know about that one now. And I've had several members tell me some of the great games that they've had with him over the couple of years that he's been playing with us. So they've really had a really good time with him. He was also really keen to develop those skills further, and he's sort of ready to take that next step. One of our members played both golf with John as well as playing croquet, and he talked about some of the long, deep and meaningful conversations that he'd have with him, particularly when they were going around the golf course. Same sort of thing, in a quiet time, they'd have lots of chats and talks when they're going around the golf course. Now, one thing with John, when he was playing croquet, he always used to wear shorts. I don't think I ever saw him in anything else but his shorts, and he used to have a peaked cap. Now, we used to give him, a lot of jokes about his white legs, because he used to have lily white legs. So we used to give him a hard time about his white legs and also about this cap on his head. And it's only recently that I've really realised that there was actually hair under that cap, because I don't think I ever saw him ever take that cap off, basically, when he was doing it. But anyway, he'd be the butt of all these jokes, but he would just come back to us and laugh away and tell some more stories and jokes to us all as well. So he was very much like that. When I asked our members a word that would describe John, and there was one that stood out, and that was, John was always upbeat. He was always very positive, and he was always very happy, and that's our memories that we've got of John. We'll miss his smile, we'll miss his wave goodbye, because every time he'd be going down the path and leaving, he'd be always wave goodbye. See you later, see you soon. So we'll definitely miss him. So we'll miss his times there, we'll miss his laughter, and we'll miss his games that we've been playing his croquet with him. So rest in peace, John. All the best. Thank you.
Thanks, Judy. That was great. Now I believe Barry is one of his golfing buddies. Is Barry going to say something today? Thank you, Barry, for sharing your memories.
Yeah, I just want to say a few words about John and his involvement with the Bairnsdale Golf Club. John joined the club around about 15 years ago, and around the same time, Walter Riedler also joined. They met up on the practice range, and that was the start of what was to become a long an enduring friendship, both on and off the golf course. I met John and Walter on the golf course around about 6 years ago, and they allowed me to join their team, together with the young bloke, Jack Clayfield. The four of us got on very well, and we played competition golf twice a week. And as we've heard, John had a unique golf swing, one that he developed himself. I thought with a bit of help from YouTube, but obviously it was this device that he had in his shed. But the swing usually resulted in big divots being carved in the fairways. But he always replaced those, of course. And I must add, sometimes the divots would go further than the ball, which we thoughtfully pointed out to him. John spent a bit of time on the driving range and in the practice bunker, perfecting his swing. On one occasion when he was in the bunker, practicing hard, he couldn't get the ball out after trying for ages. A young 10-year-old girl from the junior development group was also in the bunker practicing, and she offered John some helpful tips, which he gratefully took on board. He got the hang of it, and he was soon hitting every shot clean out of the bunker. He started bragging to everyone how easy it was to get out of bunkers and about how good a bunker player he was. The next day in a club tournament, John hit a ball in the bunker. And you guessed it, he couldn't get out. Now most golfers let out some sort of profanity. You know, they swear when they duff a shot or miss a 4-inch putt. John was no exception. I can't repeat right here what he used to say, but the amusing thing was when he sounded off, it was with a very heavy English accent, and this made the outburst sound like he was doing a comedy routine. John occasionally did exhibit brilliance on the golf course. One day on the 15th hole, which is a 344 metre par 4, John hit a great drive and his next shot went out of sight towards the green. I must point out that the greens had been aerated by spiking earlier in the day, which left them uneven and hard to putt on. The group walked towards the green looking everywhere for the ball. We couldn't find it and were about to declare a lost ball, until John, as a last resort, looked in the last place you'd think was in the hole. And there it was. 2 shots on a par 4, which is an eagle. It's very rare, even amongst professional golfers. It is rarer than a hole-in-one on a par 3. When we got back to the club rooms to celebrate John's achievement, we were told that the day's tournament had been cancelled mid-round due to the poor condition of the greens. So John's great achievement was not officially acknowledged. This was disappointing, but John took it in his stride. After this, every time we played the 15th, we reminded John about the eagle and encouraged him to get another one. John just told us where to go. 3 years ago, young Jack Clayfield, he moved on due to business commitments in Melbourne, and we recruited another old bloke into the team, Ken Pearce. We all enjoyed one another's company on the course and in the members' bar after the game. John always joined us on Tuesday when he'd have a ginger beer or a flat white coffee. Thursdays were different. That was shopping day. That was a family tradition, so we didn't hang around after the game. You had to go shopping. John was quite sociable away from the golf course. We would go out to dinners at various restaurants and clubs. On one occasion at the Cinnamon Thai restaurant in Bairnsdale, John took a liking to sing a beer that they had on tap. He had a few pints, and by the end of the evening, with his heavy English accent, combined with his slurring of words, it was hard to understand what he was talking about. Fortunately, Walter and his wife Bronwyn were there and they escorted him home safely. That was the first and only time we saw John have a little bit too much to drink. The next time we met John on the golf course, he tried to put $10 in each of our pockets because he reckons he used up more than his fair share of the drink account. Of course, we rejected that, but I was surprised he had any recollection of our night out. In closing, I'd just like to mention that John was a respected and popular member of the Bairnsdale Golf Club. His sudden loss has shocked his circle of friends and left them in disbelief. John will be sadly missed but fondly remembered.
Thanks, Barry. Telling a few home truths there, a few secrets coming out of the woodwork. Is there anyone that would like to come forward and share a memory or a story? I know it's not an easy thing to do. There is a chance when we do conclude today, we are heading to the Paynesville Cemetery, where we will formally conclude this service for John, and then you are warmly invited to join Dulcie and David and the family at the Old Grain Store, which is down here in Wood Street in Bairnsdale, and I know that they'd love it if you could join them for refreshments. Or it's Friday afternoon, so something maybe a bit colder. Maybe a Singer beer might be there. But that's a great chance if you are able to join Dulcie and David and the family to continue sharing memories and celebrate John's life, which is really what today is all about. On that note, we are now going to take a trip down memory lane through some photos. There's been some great photos chosen and a couple of really good pieces of music to watch the photos by, and I hope you enjoy this trip down memory lane of John's life.
You fill up my senses like a night in a forest, like the mountains in springtime, like a walk in the rain, like a storm in the desert, like a sleepy blue ocean. You fill up my senses, come fill me again. Come, let me love you, let me give my life to you. Let me drown in your laughter, let me die in your arms. Let me lay down beside you, let me always be with you. Come, let me love you, come love me again. Like the mountains in springtime, like a walk in the rain, like a storm in the desert, like a sleepy blue ocean. You fill up my senses, come fill me again.
Every time I look into your loving eyes, I see love that money just can't buy. One look from you, I drift away. I pray that you are here to stay. Anything you want, you got it. Anything you need. time I hold you, I begin to understand. Everything about you tells me I'm your man. I live my life to be with you. No one can do the thing you do. Anything you want, you got it. Anything you need, you got it. Anything at all, you got it, baby. Anything you want, you got it. Anything you need, you got it. Anything at all. I'm glad to give my love to you. I know you feel the way I do. Anything you want, you got it. Anything you need, you got it. Anything at all, you got it, baby. Anything you want, you got it. Anything you need, you got it. Anything at all, you got it, baby. Anything at all, you got it, baby. You got it.
Bring me sunshine in your smile. Bring me laughter all the while. In this world where we live, there should be more happiness. So much joy you can give to each brand new bright tomorrow. Make me happy through the years. Never bring me any tears. Let your arms be as warm as the sun from up above. Bring me fun, bring me sunshine, bring me love. Bring me sunshine in your smile. Bring me laughter all the while. In this world where we live, there should be more happiness. So much joy you can give to each brand new bright tomorrow. Make me happy through the years. Never bring me any tears. Let your arms be as warm as the sun from up above. Bring me fun, bring me sunshine, bring me love, sweet love. Bring me fun, bring me sunshine, bring me love. Hey!
Dulcie mentioned that that was her dad's way of saying farewell, goodbye. Beautiful photo presentation, and I love the little pieces of writing with it as well, so we could sort of follow along the journey. So thank you for sharing those with us. Certainly a life well lived. On the inside cover of your order of service, there is a verse titled "That Man is a Success." I'd like to share that with you now. They are words that capture the essence of who John was. That man is a success who has lived well, laughed often, and loved much. who has gained the respect of intelligent men and women and the love of children, who has filled his niche and accomplished his task, who leaves the world better than he found it, who never lacked an appreciation of Earth's beauty or failed to express it, who looked for the best in others and gave the best he had. Well, it's hard to capture a person like John in such a short amount of time. The memories and the stories and the photos that have been shared today make up just a small part of the sort of man he was to you all. If we did have to sum up who John was, I'm sure we would keep coming back to the same thoughts. He was someone who faithfully lived his values. John was loyal, he was hardworking, he was honest and reliable, and he valued family above everything else. John lived a life full of unique experiences that shaped the remarkable man he was. We will forever be grateful to have known him, and we will honour his memory by holding on to the laughter, the lessons, and the love that he gave so freely. As we prepare to say final farewells, and in the spirit of honouring John's memory, let us continue to remember the impact his life has made. May we find inspiration in our life lived with value and purpose, and may his memory live on, the stories that we share and the love that continues to connect us. John will be remembered not just for what he did, but for how he made others feel through his values and his achievements, and for that we are truly grateful. If John could have the last words, I feel certain they would be to cherish life, be kind to others, and be happy. We know he'd want that for his family and want that for everyone here today. Thank you so much for joining the family to say farewell to John. As I mentioned, we are headed to the Painsville Cemetery and then to the grain store, and I hope you have a really lovely afternoon celebrating his life. Thank you.
I am sailing home again, across the sea. I am sailing.